Welcome back to the Travsessed podcast. We're your hosts, Kim and Aaron. We are healthcare travelers and the creators of Travsessed. And we are finally back on the mic to talk about all things greasy. That's right, we're going to break down the entire Greece trip and the fact that Kim and I are in Florida while our second group is still in Greece currently, which is a big deal for us, and we're going to break all of that down in this week's episode.
So we're back in Florida, which is funny because I was just saying when we left, so we left in August to go to Oaxaca, and we had that tropical storm come through, and like a tree fell in the yard. Gone for over a month. We get back, and tropical storm, well, hurricane, I guess I should say, Helen is coming through. But we're gonna get so we're in Orlando right now. We'll have, I guess, like more tropical storm vibes.
Yeah.
Which is coming through today.
It's coming through today, thank goodness, because God was on our favor with that, because we fly out to Portland on Friday.
I know.
We're like, Kim's sister was like texting us. She's like, you guys need to keep an eye on this. Like, you might want to leave early.
And of course, like, we had no idea, because I'm not tracking the weather in Florida. No. Like, we were in Greece. And so when I land, I get that text from my sister, and I'm like, oh, shit. Like, because I think originally it was going to be an issue, like, Friday, and we fly out early Friday morning. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, like, are we even going to be able to go?
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like as of now, it's going to be more today and tomorrow, and then Friday we should be good to go.
And we're going to get beautiful weather in Portland because the storm, you know how it sucks like everything in? So it's going to be like gorgeous.
It's a high, so as of now.
No, we're going to Portland, not Ohio.
What?
Oh, okay.
What are
you go, oh, hi.
Okay. I just forgot what I was going to say.
Hi.
As of now, in Portland, it's going to be 71 and sunny, and then like in the 50s at night. Oh. I'm so freaking excited for some
sweater
weather and the fall vibes. It was so hot in Oaxaca, so hot in Greece. It's so freaking hot in Orlando. Like, I am so excited for some
It's
sweaters.
Not that hot here.
Okay, today isn't that bad because
it's hotter in Greece and Oaxaca than it is here.
I disagree, and because it's so beyond humid.
Well, yeah.
So it feels different. Like, yes, Greece was hot AF, but it's not that humid. Where here, the humidity is it for me. So,
all right.
Anyways, this podcast is long overdue. I know we kept saying that we were going to record it, but we have just been nonstop, like, balls to the wall. And we always think we're going to have more time than we do. And so it just kind of fell to the wayside. So we're sitting down today with a Celsius, which I'm so excited about. Mr. Pup just ran out to get Celsius for us to record this podcast, and we're gonna like get into all the Greece things.
God, where do we even begin? I guess just
I have something to say. Okay. Before we get into that, if you're listening to this on Thursday when it comes out, and you happen to be if you're in the Portland area this weekend, super last minute. But if you are in the mood to have a last minute adventure with us and some other travelers, we still have a couple spots open on that trip. So if you're interested and you're listening to this before Saturday, September 28th, let us know. You can email us and we can get it set up so that you can join us. It's going to be a really fun
It's going to be awesome, day. Especially with the weather and the foliage and
the lobsters.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so freaking excited.
I know. It's going to be good.
And then also, we are using our 2 weeks here in Florida before we head to Nepal to launch 2025 trips. Again, I know that we said we were going to launch Peru and Bali a bit ago, but we didn't do a podcast. We're not launching the trip. We just learned more and more that sometimes we think we're going to have more time and availability when we're on these trips, and it gets away from us, and we just don't. So what we're going to do is use these 2 weeks that we're home to launch the trips, 4 different trips for 2025. So that will give you plenty of time to plan and prepare and to pay for the trip, because the payment plans will be way lower.
Well, I want to talk about that because it's something that we thought of in Oaxaca. and I was sitting on the van, and we got off the van, and I was just like telling Kim, I was like, why don't we start launching the trips after we end the trip? So then people have like a full year to kind of plan, because I've always looked at healthcare travelers being super spontaneous. And I've just always had that mindset that like, as long as you got 3 months, you're good to go. But like, honestly, we're seeing people like to plan their schedules and their contracts around what they have going on in the year. So we were like, dude, let's launch our trips a year in advance. After every trip, we'll launch the next one. And so the next year's. And that gives travelers enough time to plan and lower payments for these trips.
And two, I think when it's too last minute, I think you can be spontaneous, but then I think if it's too last minute, you're like, oh, dang, I want to go, but I already have something planned for that time, or I'm in a contract or whatever. So having this in advance, it really allows you, because like you don't know exactly where you're going to be in a year, but if you have trips booked, you plan around them, right? Which is what we've always done. And when I did the poll on Instagram, just to kind of get a sense, are other people feeling this way? Because we've talked about giving more time for launches in the past and this and that. It was overwhelmingly like, yes, like I want to plan, I want more time, I want lower payments. And so we're like, okay, this is going to be the moving forward, is that after a trip, we're going to launch that trip for the following year. So essentially it'll give you about 10 months-ish payment plans to kind of prep for that.
Yeah.
So that's the move moving forward, and we'll kind of see how that feels. And it allows us to look forward into the year too, to be like, okay, cool, like we're doing this trip, that like we know the trips that we're doing, we know the trips that, okay, we're gonna run these trips, we need to find hosts for this trip. So it really helps us too. So I think collectively it's gonna be like the move. Mm-hmm. So with all that being said, we are launching Oaxaca and Greece for 2025 this Sunday. So Sunday the 29th, you will receive an email with the details. If you're in our membership, you will receive that email on Friday, because you always get first dibs to sign up, and you'll be able to use your discount for that.
Whoop.
And then we will be launching Bali and what's the other one? Oh my God.
So Oaxaca and Greece, Bali and Peru.
Oh, Bali and Peru, hiking the Inca Trail for 2025 the following Friday. Mm-hmm. I forget the date, but it's whatever that next Friday is. And then, yeah,
we'll be launching the South America highlight trip in like November, late October.
I was thinking
sooner?
January, because that's a whole year.
No, I was giving people enough time. That's our most expensive pay package.
Okay.
That one in New Zealand.
Well, let's just focus on these four.
But that's going to be for 2026, which is cool. So it gives people way enough time.
Yeah.
To like.
Right. So, yeah, that's the plan. So we will be launching these 4 trips in the next 2 weeks. So if you're listening to this and you're like, dude, I 100% know I want to go on one of those, keep your eyes peeled on your inbox, and we will be sending the details out for that. Mm-hmm. All right, let's do it. I don't even know exactly where to begin, this is the thing too, is like why I like to do the post-trip podcast right after, because everything's so fresh, and it's like we're coming off of it, so everything's like heightened.
Well, I got something.
Go.
So basically, obviously, we had 2 groups in this, right? So Kim and I ran the first group, and then for the first time ever, we had Travsessed hosts run the second group, which was absolutely amazing, and we'll get into that later on in the podcast. But I think for me, this was the first time we ever ran a trip where the hosts, i.e. Kim and I, or whoever, Aaron and Adam running the next group, were the guides the entire time. Mm-hmm. So like logistically, there was a lot of moving parts. We're running everything. Usually we have like somebody on the ground helping us out who stays with us, who kind of helps if we have, issues with paying things, or like they're able to like be there and handle all of this.
A middleman,
yeah. Totally. And so usually it's a local that has their finger on the pulse of like everything. And so this time it was us.
We handled everything.
We were guiding on the hikes. We were guiding on the ATVs. We were mapping everything. We were arranging every single transport. Like, it was insane. But in the best way. And I think like on arrival, you know, we're always talking. We've done, God, I don't even know how many trips now, but like there's nerves involved. And Adam, the host of the second one, said something that he was like, it's like sports. It's that feeling like you're nervous, but you're excited, and then, you know, you're not sure how it's going to go. And then once the game starts or whatever, you kind of click in. And so like our first group was absolutely amazing. And every group is individually amazing in their own way. And I love that they all compete to be like the best group, which is really cool. But, you know, just in general with all the moving parts, we took people through airports for the first time, which, I mean, was ferries. So, yeah, I'll pause.
I think, yeah, this was the biggest, like you said, the biggest logistical trip for us, right? And just lots of moving parts financially, lots of moving parts logistically, a lot of things that needed to be kept track of, right? So a lot of times we do everything in advance. Like we always, obviously, every detail is planned in advance. But then this trip was just, we were in charge of so much. And like the everyday, getting people to where we needed to go, right? You said the airport, the ferries, the ATVs, all of this. And I think there was, when we were heading to go do this trip, I said, like, this is the trip that I am the most nervous about. I am the most anxious about, because there are so many things that we have to remember every single day to make sure, because our goal is to give people the best possible experience and for things to run as smooth as they can, that people don't see all the behind the scenes moving the puzzle pieces around,
swan,
or the chest. Yeah, it's
the
like
swan where the feet are moving underneath the water so fast, but they look so graceful on the
And I just want to be able to make sure that people are showing up when they say, like, our rides, our transfers, just everything is perfect and easy and smooth. And so saying that, and now being post-trip, I will say that it was way more smooth than it was easier than I thought. It was so many moving pieces, but I think that we did such a great job, and it was way easier than I anticipated, I guess I should say. Like,
yeah, totally. I think you and I had nerves on different parts. I was nervous about the ATVs, and like I said, like a preloaded map of like all the locations, and we just kind of checked them off as we went. But like, you're putting 7 people on ATVs on main streets with traffic.
People.
13 people, right? Wow. Yeah.
7. We did double
7
up,
ATVs.
So.
7 ATVs is a big line of people.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought, oh, it's 7. Like, okay, cool. But when you look in your rearview mirror, we extend like a 1/10 of a mile. Like,
yeah,
it's insane. And so like Kim was more nervous about like the ferry and the airports and like things like that.
Well, just making sure that we had 1 million drivers we were working with to make sure they were there at the time that they said, and that our reservations were correct, like at the same time, and people knew we were like, there was every day there was something that needed to be like on someone else, making sure somebody else was coming on time and making sure that they were doing their part to make sure that our part was smooth.
With that being said, I think everybody vendor-wise did an absolute amazing job, and I think that's on us. What's funny is, I want your opinion on this, but Greece, out of all the locations, was the least amount of customer service I have ever seen.
Even more than Oaxaca?
Yeah.
I don't think Oaxaca is very friendly.
Okay, the hotel wasn't friendly.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. No,
that was it.
Our guides and our friends and stuff there are amazing.
Okay,
so yeah, that's
the
true.
hotel front desk, the service in the restaurant there for breakfast, they were phenomenal.
That's true. I take that back. I think Greece is not accommodating for groups. Like, I think the people at our hotel were amazing. I think the restaurants that we went to were amazing. No, I think we had a couple of situations where they weren't overly, I don't know, I guess I don't know the word, just above and beyond. Like when we're in Bali, right?
Oh.
Like if you like the customer service, the beyond, like they go out of their way to like make sure like you're okay and they're supporting you and they're there and they're friendly and they're nice and like it's just above and beyond. So if you're comparing it to like a Bali, yes, everybody was nice and everybody worked with us well. Like I think that we created new partners there that went really well, and there's other partners that were probably, I don't know, like we'll see. But I think they're just not as friendly.
Yeah. No, I think that. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's interesting. It was an interesting thing because, like you said, with Bali, there's like this. Oh my gosh! Like the group's coming. We're so excited. Thank you. Like they go above and beyond. It felt like okay, cool. Like, but we did have. Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was good. It was just different for me.
Okay. I mean, I
that's why I said I wanted your opinion.
Yeah, I understand where you're getting at when you're comparing it, but I think for the most part, it was a great experience working with the partners that we did work with and the restaurants that we went to and the hotels and all the things. This was a really fun trip. It was different because, so our group, we knew everybody in our group besides three people.
Well, no,
2 people. And one of the girls who we didn't know was the wife of somebody who came to Peru with us, who we absolutely loved. And the other girl was their best friend. So it was like, okay, you know.
Well, and then Alexis' best friend.
Oh, right.
So,
yeah. And then Alexis brought her best friend. And like that, and again, we always say, we love all of our groups. They're all so freaking different. It just depends on where you are, what you're doing, the vibes. They all become like this cohesive family unit, but they all feel different, right? It's always different. Every group's different. This group just hit. Like it just, I think because we knew everyone too, and we loved like everybody on that trip, and it just felt like such a family unit, and it was such a like a closeness and a bond, and it was just fun. It was a really fun trip, and this was also, I guess, besides Bali, right? But there wasn't a lot of like physical activity.
No.
There was a lot of beach days. There was a lot of drinking wine. There was a lot of eating there, you know. And we did one hike. Of course, it wouldn't be a Travsessed trip without a hike. But it was the least active trip that we've ever done. And it was really fun.
Well, it's interesting. Like, you're right, though. It's funny because there was so much door-to-door service.
We literally never walked.
I know.
We walked one day.
And so
we hiked.
We hiked 8 miles, and it's 242 steps, so we did it twice. So 484.
And I like that because most of our trips are very adventurous, are very active. And honestly, those are the trips that we love to do. I think those trips bond people. They bring people together. Like you'll never be able to understand it unless you've been on a trip like that. And people who have fucking get it, right? Those are our favorite trips to plan and lead. And the connections we have on those trips are just unparalleled, really.
Agreed.
And so, but not everybody can do those kinds of trips, right? Like not everybody's going to hike Kilimanjaro or Everest or Inca Trail, right? And so giving this option where we were able to go and connect with amazing people. Group 2 had a lot of brand new people, right? Brand new to Travsessed family, first Travsessed trip. So it brought in these new people that may not go on a hiking trip. Like one of the girls in the first group was like, thank you so much for planning this trip like this, because like I don't think I'll ever be able to do a hiking trip with you guys, and maybe one day I will, and like I'd love to be able to work up to that, but at this point I won't. And so being able to have a trip like this was so awesome because I could come and meet people and have fun, but it wasn't like this crazy hiking trip.
No, totally.
I love that we have Greece and Bali in that way, because it does bring in other people.
I mean, Bali's, we've been told that we have to put a warning label on Bali.
I mean,
because
depends on who you're talking
well,
to.
there's the waterfall hike, there's Batur, we're hiking a volcano, we do a lot of walking from port to hotel, like
okay. Bali is way more active than Greece. Greece, you do 1 day of hiking. Otherwise, you don't
riding
move your
in a van.
legs.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Unless you're swimming in the ocean, right?
Totally.
Like, you're not moving a whole lot.
You might jump off the boat.
Yeah.
That's it.
So compared to that, yes, Bali is definitely more active. We're moving a lot more. But then comparing Bali to like a Patagonia, Peru, and Everest, like, yes, a completely different trip. It's still active, but I think people who don't want to do a crazy hiking trip would go to Bali, right? And they're still like chill, right?
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, I think just overall, I just really, this was the other thing. Because Adam and Aaron were running the second group, I felt like I could just be completely present with our group. And a lot of times when we're running back-to-back trips, I always feel like I need to save some energy for the second group. Like, I don't want to be exhausted. I don't want to be run down. Like, I need to kind of pick and choose. When am I going to go out with the group? When am I, because I got to save some fuel in the tank for the second group. And we know we have to do it all over again. And so we want to show up fully for both groups. Because we knew we were only running this first group, I felt like I could be fully present and just have a good time. And like we stayed up with people when people were staying up. Like, we were really a part of the group, even on free days. Usually like, oh, we need to go work on this, or we need to do this.
We seclude ourselves on free days.
Yeah, because also, we're running a business. And so there's other things that we have to be doing. We try to balance all of it while we're on these trips. And it's hard sometimes. And so I think, again, because we knew at the end of this trip, we would have some time to catch up on all the things, that it really allowed us to just be with the fucking group.
Yeah.
And I loved that so much. And it just reiterated for me, and you might feel differently, I don't know, but like, I will never run back-to-back trips ever again, because the feeling I had in that first group was so next level for me, because I knew after that group I was done.
Okay. Never say never, but, and the only reason I would say it is like, I do like running two groups on new trips, because there is no better way to understand the trip and the nuances that pop up that you can't plan than doing two trips. Once I do two, I feel like I've got it down, so I could pass along to a new host. With that being said, Aaron and Adam are killing it. Killing it. Like, there has been things that have popped up that we did not have on our trip that they have handled with grace and just really well. Better than I could have ever imagined a host handling situations like that. And they're doing it behind closed doors, and then, we're talking back and forth. And so that breeds a lot of, confidence in, we prepared them as well as we could. And I was proud of us for what we did.
Hell yeah.
And like, we've learned, which was really fun with them running the first time being hosts, because we knew that we could learn with them and that we'll make mistakes and we'll get better. And then the next host, I feel like we've already got a really good system.
Right. So the question was, will you run two back-to-back trips?
I said I would run two back-to-back trips, but sitting here talking to you and seeing what they're doing, because this is the most difficult.
Yeah.
The
most difficult trip.
Depending on what we do in the future, because there's a lot of plans for a lot of different locations. Like, I would say never, but Aaron and Adam have definitely changed that opinion with how well they're doing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, never say never, right? Like, you and I change our freaking minds all the time, right?
Yeah.
So, and we're allowed to do that. But, and so never say never, but as of now, I truly feel like I was
better version of yourself.
Yeah, in the first group, because I could just full freaking send, because I knew I didn't have to do it again, and I knew I had downtime afterwards, and that was a freaking game changer for me, and I loved it. I freaking loved it.
And I would like to recognize, I agree with you 100%, because there was a moment where, I mean, just sitting here while you were talking, thinking, I know exactly where they're at right now. Mm-hmm. They're heading back to the hotel from Parissa Beach. There's still 3 more hardcore days coming up, and I'm sitting here with you, thinking, so God, I would be so freaking drained. I was torched when I got home.
And I will say too, because we've run back-to-back Patagonia trips, we've run back-to-back Peru trips multiple times.
Bali? Okay? 4 times?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. But I was more exhausted after Greece because there's a lot of drinking, right? Like we're drinking wine. We were like, oh, we're not gonna like drink very much anymore. Okay, we're drinking on Travsessed trips.
Way more.
We're drinking on Travsessed trips, but like in our normal life, we won't. We're detoxing, right? Anyways, it's a lot of drinking and later nights and this kind of stuff. So I was way more exhausted post Greece than I was post Peru, post Patagonia.
Totally.
For me, it's so much easier to run back-to-back hiking trips, even though it's physical and it's hard, but your body is strong and you're mentally clear and like you're eating and you're drinking water and there's not a lot of alcohol. And so for me, that's way easier. If we had to run a second Greece trip, physically, right, I'm like, I don't think I have it in me. With the amount of drinking and stuff like that goes into that trip. Because again, it's not like every day, all day, but there's like wine with lunch, and there's pretty much every day there's wine involved. And like however much you decide to drink is on you, right?
Well, there was limits with lunch.
Right, but that's what I mean. Like, if lunch had 2 glasses of wine, you're still having wine every day. And then if you chose to, like, drink more after that, like, at the hotel, or if you went out that night or whatever, that was your choice. You didn't have to do that. That wasn't part of the itinerary. But I guess my point was just that it was a lot on, like, my body, that would have been really hard to run another trip and be fully present in the same way we were with the second group. I don't think I could have done it.
No, I think there would have been a lot more nights that we were,
went to bed.
running to the hotel room to slam the door and lock it and pull the blinds. Like,
right.
Most definitely. And like, sorry, out of service kind of deal. I will say, like, it is in hindsight, it's kind of like when you run a half marathon, you're like, I would never run a full ever. I mean, we've said that, maybe not other people, but if you ran a marathon, then you got another 13 to go. So you find that gear. And I will say that we've been there before, because I think even in the hiking trips, you've even said there's no way I can run this second group, and then it's amazing and we end. And
of course, I mean, it's like anything, it's all mental, right? Like if you knew you had to do it again, you find the inner strength to be able to do it again, right? Like we have done that so many times. We always do. We always show up, and 100%. Could we do it? Yeah. Like we know that it's a mental game, but I don't want to.
No.
That's my point. I don't want to have to do that. What?
Oh no, I was just saying, I don't know if this is the time, but it just hit me about what you said today. It was kind of interesting. Good.
About Aaron and Adam?
No, about us, just along that subject. Because, again, Travsessed Adventure started, we did our first trip in 2022, but we really ramped up in 2023 was when we went like full bore. So if you really look at it, full bore, it's been going for a year and some change.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
She's
2 years old, but yes.
She's 2 years old, but full bore, 100% dedication, a year and some change.
Yeah.
Right? And so, with that being said, we're still trying to figure out, like, how our flow is with this, because, thank God Aaron and Adam are running this trip, but, like, it takes us to be physically in another country to run these trips. And so like, it was just interesting because Kim and I have been home. We had a day yesterday. We got a very nice Airbnb in Florida, and we are trying to recover as fast as possible to run Portland, to then come home and have like 9 days before we run Everest Base Camp. So there's a lot of like kind of nuance going in that, and we're trying to figure things out on the fly. And I think Kim was saying like, she said today, I'm ready to go again. And it was kind of interesting because, you know, we're trying to figure out what is that balance in between trips. And there is a difference in being home and having a coffee at home versus like, oh, well, in between trips, we had 4 days before the next group came. But it's a totally different scenario when you're in another country.
Yeah, 100%. I think like we're exhausted coming home, and we need, honestly, I wish we had a couple of weeks, like, you know, if I could choose that, but we had already planned Portland. We're excited for it. But after a couple of days of just like resetting, recharging, being quiet, having time to reflect and like just kind of reset, back in the gym, working out, making homemade meals, like all of that, like I feel back to new. Like I feel back to new. I feel great. And just the fact that Aaron and Adam they're currently in Santorini. They're currently on Parissa Beach right now as I speak these words, right? And I think that is what the beautiful thing is. And, you know, I wrote an email, and I said this in the email about, you know, Travsessed Adventures was, the bigger vision was always, we wanted it to always just be bigger than Aaron and I, right? Like we wanted it to be, like, we're the visionaries, we're obsessed with planning trips and organizing, and I think that we just create the coolest freaking experiences. We bring, like, just really great people together that connect and share these incredible adventures and trips together that we create, right? We hold the energy, we hold the space, and we actually plan it, right? With the details and the organization and the logistics. And we're really good at that. But we always knew we wanted other travelers and in the community to be able to travel the world, host a trip, be a leader, right? Have these experiences, share these experiences. Like, it can't just be the two of us. There's just absolutely no way. That's not sustainable. We never wanted it that way. We want other, like the fact that Aaron and Adam are leading this group and they're learning and they're growing, and they're like, we're excited to do something out of our comfort zone and to push ourselves, right? But they're also in Greece having this they took our spots, right? So like they're having this incredible trip in Greece and experiencing this, and with this group and the bonds and the friendships that they're creating, like, is so powerful. And so it's just that's the point. That is what we want to create more of, is other travelers being able to come in and also have these amazing freaking experiences.
And it's a side hustle.
100%.
They're getting a free trip and getting paid to do it.
Yeah, 100%. And so what a cool fucking thing that we get to give back to our community, right? And so we've always known that. That being said, rewinding back, we finish our trip, okay? And Adam and Aaron are there. In Athens, we met early because we had to debrief every week. If you can imagine just the most detailed, micro-detailed, organized Google Doc you can ever dream of, we just went through everything that they need to know and understand day by day, minute by minute. And so that they were prepared for anything, which is funny because a couple things have come up naturally that they weren't prepared for, because there's no way to prepare for everything. But the gist is they had the support and the foundation of everything that they needed. They felt confident, they felt empowered, they felt ready to show up and be leaders and host this trip. And then the things that did come up, they figured it out. And I think that was really cool. So we brief them, we go over everything. They're like, all right, we're freaking ready to go. And then the group comes in. And it was cool because we got to spend 2 days with the group in Athens. before they left to go to Milos, and then we went to Rome for a couple days before coming back home. Did you want to say anything?
No.
Oh, okay, because I feel like I'm talking too much.
Keep going.
Okay. And so there were 6 or 7 people in that group we didn't know. Couple people who've been on Travsessed trips before. Most of the group was new people. And again, like, our favorite part of these trips is, well, one of our favorite parts, because I truly do love the planning and the organizing of it all, but is meeting the people and getting to know people and connecting with
Building
people.
a bond.
Oh my God, there's nothing like it. Truly. There's nothing like it.
It's just extending your family. I mean, it's like meeting new friends that's so cool.
It's my favorite part. And even like people in the second group are posting like, I can't believe these people were strangers and like a couple of days ago, and now I feel like we're freaking family. How does that happen? And like, we always say that. And I think sometimes maybe it can look like we say things like, how is that actually possible? But the people who come on our trips, they get it. They feel it. There is this bond and this connection that we all have and we share together. And so they're experiencing that now together. And so when we said goodbye, again, we were prepared. We knew, we were excited because we're like, Aaron and Adam are taking over. This group is in the best hands, and we get to move on. Like, we get to go back home, get back in our routine, which we are craving, run the Portland trip, get ready forever. So we were really excited. And we're like, okay, we're saying bye. And what I didn't expect is how sad I felt.
Oh God, it was horrible.
We were like questioning our choices.
It was horrible.
We're like, should we just go with them?
Horrible in the best way.
Yeah, because we had such a short time to bond with everybody. And we're like, I want more time. I wanted to get to know you more. Like, everybody was so cool. And we're like, I wanted more time. Like, and just knowing that they were going to go off as a unit. And because we've hosted so many trips, we know what's about to happen. Mm-hmm. And they're going to share these experiences. They're going to have fun. They're going to create these bonds and these memories and these insider jokes and all the things and have the best freaking time. And like, we're not going to be
and they're going to be connected for life.
And we're not a part of it.
But do you feel like we're a part of that connection? Maybe not like in the present, but do you feel now that we're still a part of it? Because of messages, I'm saying that it's been kind of like an ease.
Yeah, I mean,
like, people know that we plan this.
Obviously, that's not what I'm saying.
No, I know. I get it. I was just asking, like, because that's how I was feeling.
Yeah, because everyone's like, thank you guys. You've planned the most amazing trip. Like, we miss you guys. Wish you were here. Like, this trip's amazing. You guys, like, have crushed it. Like, all these messages and stuff we're getting, which I obviously love to hear. Like, we want them to have an amazing time. That's, but I mean, we are physically not there. Like, when we look at Greece 1, the trip we ran, right? Like, those late night conversations.
Stranger danger.
Which
best thing ever created for Travsessed.
Yeah, which we can come back to in a second. But like, the stranger danger conversations, just like all the in-depth sharing that we had, and the fun and the laughs,
connections.
And like we were physically there. We were a part of that, the fabric of that trip, and we will never ever forget that. Right? We were such a part of it. So with this trip, even though yes, we are infused into everything, we've planned it. Our heart and soul is in every aspect of that trip. Right? That trip was planned through our love and our vision. And people know that, right? They feel that, but we're not there. So like the friendships that are being created, the laughs that they're having, the stories, they're playing stranger danger. We don't get to hear their answers. Like, so that was the part that I struggled with way more than I thought. I thought I was going to be like, bye kids, have a good fucking time.
See you later.
Peace out, bitches. Yeah. See you on the flip. Like, I thought I was going to be like jumping up and down. Like, we get to go home. I'm so ready to be back in routine. And it was the opposite. I was so sad. I was like crying, and I felt like we were missing out. I had FOMO.
Well, I thought I was going to be crying with joy walking away that second night after the food tour, but I was crying with emotion of like missing out, which is crazy. I will say though, I just thought of this therapy side session for us. We have had this experience before with Traveler School, right? We don't know these people physically, but then when we meet them in person, they're like, hey guys, like you guys affected my life. You changed my life with pushing me outside of my comfort zone. And this was on a screen. So I still feel, I think like this is new for us and we have to figure this out. Like our main goal is always to create experiences to push people out of their comfort zones that might shift something in their being, to inspire them to do more, to get out more, maybe be more social, maybe meet more people, maybe go travel more, like whatever it is, right? That's the underlying tone of our trips and just our being, of what we want to, our effect on this travel life, travel world, the world in general, right? And so I think it can still happen. And I want to know that it can still happen without us being there.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying, right? Like, we're still infused into everything. This is more personal for me. This is more a personal FOMO of not physically being a part of this group, right? And of course, like multiple people have said this, but there was a couple in the second group who, we love couples too. Oh. Like, we freaking love couples because honestly, a lot of our trips are like solo travelers, right? And that's great. But I love couples because we're a couple and it is a different energy. It's a different vibe to be around other couples. Like, we love both, but like we want more couples, right? And more men. And so there was this freaking awesome couple in the second group. And I'm like, I wish you could have spent more time with them. I know we'll see them again. But anyways, they were like, your podcast like totally changed our life because, ooh, my Celsius spilt. Oh, that's cold. They're like, we listened to your podcast and that gave us the confidence and the kind of the guide, I guess, to start traveling, right? Because we had a similar story and so of just like getting married and getting the house and all the things, but realizing, what the hell am I doing? Like, we gotta go. And so they listened to our podcast and that inspired them to start traveling. And like, multiple people have said that. I feel like a lot of people who come on our trips listen to the podcast.
Yep.
But I love that because us just sharing our own story, right? Like, we started this podcast to share stories of us being travelers. And the whole goal was to be able to use this platform to show other people what's possible, to inspire people, to share the realness behind things and to not gatekeep things and this and that. So again, we are a part of every single thing. Like, our goal is always to make an impact in someone's life and or inspire them to travel, inspire them to step out of their comfort zone. And we'll always continue to do that. But yeah, I think this was just like this was a huge step for us. And I don't know what it will look like in the future. Like, but this was huge. And I know, even though in that moment I was questioning, did we make the right decision? Like, should we send Adam and Aaron home and we just go in their place? Like, just because we wanted to be a part of it, not because for any reason. It wasn't about them or trusting them. It was just like we had FOMO and wanted to go and we joked about it. And we were like, oh my God, what are we doing? But now I know it was the right decision. We needed to take that step so that we can have more hosts in the future.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, not only that, I think just saying that too, like Aaron and Adam are excited about the growth of Travsessed. They're excited about their personal growth, and they're also excited about the growth of hosts, which is really cool because now between the four of us, we can really help breed the next generation of hosts. Right? And like they can share through their experience and things they've learned, and they're going to teach us, and then we can like keep passing this down and keep building, and then these team of hosts become a Travsessed family team on a different level, right? And we're just continuing to grow, continuing to blossom, continuing to spread seeds of people being able to do this in the best possible way, right? And like keeping the brand alive.
Yeah.
Which is like it's been a goal for a very long time.
Yeah.
And it's Lauren said it. I know you guys are sad, but this is a huge step for you guys. And it just puts it in a perspective, because it's hard, because when you're in the moment, like you said, we had FOMO, we're waving goodbye. But then you come in hindsight and you're just like, dude, this is exactly what we wanted.
100%. And I think, I joked about this on our story, and I was talking to my mom about it yesterday, of like, it feels like what I can imagine empty nesters feel like, right? It's like you've got your group of kids, and it's like you're close and you do everything together, and it's like this family unit, and then the kids leave, right? And they go off to college, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I've been wanting this, like the house is like quiet, or it's clean, or we have more time to do stuff together. The kids are gone, and like you're excited about it, but then you're also like, but I miss them and I'm sad, and you want to check in with them, and like it feels weird. It's a transition, right? It's a huge transition, but after like a couple of days, or at least for us, after a couple of days, we clicked into that, and I'm like, yeah, I wish I was there, and seeing their pictures, because we're obviously still a part of the WhatsApp group, and they're sharing their pictures and the videos, and I'm like, it looks like they're having an amazing time, and you want that for them. But I'm like, I feel just like good about it. I'm like, I clicked in, and I'm like, yeah, I was sad, but now I fucking feel great, and we made the best decision, and like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's freaking go.
Well, I just wrapping up, like I do want to talk about, so one of the things that Travsessed trips do, and we're adamant about, is we're not sitting around having like superficial conversations about the weather and steak and
sometimes we are,
baseball.
but
yeah, there's times for that, right? But like we always try to bring the group together, right? And when you have a big group, it's a lot harder, right? Oaxaca was the smallest group we ever had, and so there was just like like we were sitting at a small table, everybody could hear everybody. It wasn't shouting, it wasn't a big deal. It was kind of weird. It was weird. Didn't
awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing. But now it's like we had Greece, and like there's 13, and for the second group there was 15 because
when you and
Kim and I were there, and so that is a huge group, right? And so it's hard to really have conversations. With that being said, we always start with on the welcome dinner, passing around the Travsessed hat, and it's filled with questions, and I love those questions. They're phenomenal, but it kind of breaks the ice and gets things going. With that being...
Hold on.
Good.
But I think it's something cool to mention of that is like, if you haven't been on one of our trips, that those questions began with the first ever Travsessed trip. So they have come to every trip with us. It is a tradition. We do it every trip at the welcome dinner, and they're fun questions, or they make you think, but they're travel related. They're more fun. It's not like, tell us about your traumas. Like, it's fun, but it's like it gets
deeper.
But you get in every, like, the person answers and the group listens, and that person has the full attention, and you really do get to know people better. And even when people are like, I'm nervous, like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to like talk in front of people, like they always end up being, that was awesome, like, can we do it again? Because it just, you really get to know people.
Well, and it also just, no matter, people aren't answering the same question, they're answering a different question every time. But what it also does is it allows people armor to then go and ask them, like maybe they said, what's your favorite place to travel? And they tell their story about they traveled to India and like they went here and blah, blah, blah. So then people are like, wow, I want to talk to them about that. So then it breaks the ice with that, and it allows conversations to start on the side, which then creates connections. Everything's intentional, right? Like there's a thought, there's 10 thoughts to everything that we do, right? And so we were on this Greece trip, and Hallie and Emily's came with us to Peru. Hallie was her wife who came on this trip. She wanted to come to Peru, but she had knee surgery, so she got to come to Greece. And so Emily, before the trip, Instagrammed us and said, I cannot wait to have wine, laughs, and deep conversations, because she was just somebody that connected on a deeper level. We could have deeper conversations, which Kim and I love. And so Hallie feels the same way. And so what they did was they created what they call stranger danger. When they're sitting at a communal table, they got tired of having like at a brewery, right? They got tired of having these superficial, oh, this beer's good, like, oh yeah, cool, where are you from? Like, awesome, cool, like whatever. So they created what they called stranger danger, where they could ask people questions that were a little bit deeper, that really kind of got to know people a little better. And so they brought stranger danger to Greece with them, and it was like, oh my God, this is incredible. And they were deeper questions, like, what do you love about yourself? Like, you could see people freeze up, and then, oh my God. And then the group would go around, and then the people that were kind of like nervous would share. And it was cool. And it could be anything. It could be like, I love that I'm active. Like, I mean, it wasn't like you didn't have to go that deep.
Well, what I loved is when we played this one night, and it was we had like some breakout sessions in our group where like some people went to dinner and some stayed back at the hotel, and then some people went to bed and some people stayed up and had wine. Like, so it was kind of cool because I feel like we had some one-on-one good time with smaller groups of people, which I always love. Like, I love the big group, but then I love break-off sessions because that's where you really get to know each other. And so we had one night where it was just a couple of us and we were playing the stranger danger. And that question that you just said, that was our first question of what do you love about yourself? We spent 2 hours on that. There was 5 of us maybe. And it just got so in depth and so beautiful and so many different conversations from that one question. We were like, okay, 2 hours on one question.
Yeah.
And again, 2 of the girls are like, I'm really shy and it's hard for me to open up. But like, they opened up so much, and I'm like, this is what I love to see. Like, it's hard for me to open up. It's hard for me to be vulnerable. I'm shy, blah, blah, blah. But to see them show up on this trip alone, right? And
3 of the girls.
Yeah, not knowing anyone, but just showing up and like being vulnerable and sharing and now making these friendships. And like, I just feel like that's so brave and it's so inspiring, and just having those connections and conversations with people. I'm like, this is what it's all about. Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
And I wanted to clarify, 3 of the girls were like, I'm shy, I don't like to talk. Yeah. Not showing up single, because there was more.
Yeah. So we did that one night.
So then she comes back after the one night, and then she was like, so this morning I had some time and I created Travsessed Stranger Danger. And it's like a lot more, like one of the questions, which I think is so genius, and it's for our Friends fans out there, but she was like, were Ross and Rachel on a break? And like the depth of that, of like do you feel that they were on a break or not? Like, you can learn a lot about a person in that answer, right? And it's like fun. Yeah. But depth.
But brought up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely perfection. And so those now are going to be another Travsessed tradition, which I'm excited about.
Well, and we have Travsessed After Dark, which is more like dirty, which our group was so dirty. You know what I freaking love? I'm comfortable around people. Like, I just, again, it's not about being like weird, but it's just like being open is to talk about, who cares? We talk about sex. We talk about this. Like, it's fun. We make jokes about things. Like, I feel comfortable. And I know not everyone's like that, and that's completely fine. And not everybody on our trip is like that, okay? No. So it's not a requirement. Yeah, but, like, I just personally feel more comfortable around people who are just kind of more open or can, like, laugh at that kind of stuff versus people who are, like, more prudish. Like, that makes me feel uncomfortable. Our group was just totally out of control. So Travsessed After Dark. So we're creating questions for like the After Dark, like the Travsessed, if you will. Mm-hmm. And Adam and Aaron are, messaging us like, we're playing Stranger Danger, and they like multiple times. Like, the group is loving it. We're all playing. So now I feel like that's become a thing. I'm like, I told Hallie, I'm like, this group's playing Stranger Danger, and they're the one who created it. And they're like, that's awesome. I love that. So now I just feel like it's such a fun way to like get to know each other and just kind of bring the group in too.
One conversation.
Collectively, as opposed to like, I'm down here, you're down there, which happens all the time. But when you want to bring the group in together, having some wine or having a cocktail and then playing Stranger Danger, and obviously like having drinks, it loosens people up and people feel more vulnerable to share. And it's just like one of my favorite things to do. I fucking love it. And we're going to bring it to Everest, obviously. Mm-hmm. We obviously won't be drinking because we'll be hiking our little dicks off. But I still think like us sitting at the tea houses, like sitting around playing Stranger Danger, like that's so fun, you know?
I'm excited.
It's a new Travsessed tradition. So Hallie, if you're listening, thank you.
Yeah, and it's only going to grow.
Yeah. Okay, I actually have to go because I have to go get my nails done because my nails are literally falling off. So, God, I just feel like there's so much we could say, and we just cannot pack it all into this one
Next week.
So we will be back for our normal scheduled Thursday pod. We have not done Traveler Quick Tips in a fucking month.
No, we haven't.
We'll bring it back, but
yeah, we will.
We'll definitely be back Thursday at least it'll be post Portland.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
Our first ever Travsessed day trip, which so excited for, which we can get more into next week.
Yeah.
So I think we'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
Make sure to check your email if you're interested in joining us for Greece, Bali, Peru, or Oaxaca next year. And we're here if you have any questions at all. You can follow along on Instagram at Kim and Aaron G for stories. And with that, we'll see you guys next Thursday.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Keep it greasy.